White Deer. A story of lost and found love. Chapter 1. The trip. The flight to Turkey had been long but smooth. For Aylin, 35, elegant yet weary from her endless work in the events industry. It wasn't just another trip. It was the first time in 2 years that she'd allow herself a pause. Her company had booked her for a conference in Istanbul, followed by a 2-day reward stay at a 5-star all-inclusive resort in Antalya. The kind of luxury she often organized for others but rarely enjoyed herself. By the time she stepped into the grand marble lobby of the hotel, with its golden chandeliers and the scent of sea salt, carried by the Mediterranean breeze, she felt both grateful and unsettled. She had forgotten what it was like to simply be a woman. Not a manager, not a professional, not a strategist juggling endless projects. After the business events were done, she allowed herself to slip into a turquoise evening dress and wander to the hotel's open-air bar by the pool. A cocktail, something sweet with a slice of pineapple, was placed in her hand. She sat back, letting her gaze drift over the scene. The rhythmic beats of the DJ, the flickering torches by the water, and most dangerously, the sculpted bodies of the hotel's entertainment team. Tall, tanned men with carved muscles, moving effortlessly in their performance by the pool. Their laughter was loud, their energy magnetic. She felt the heat rise within her, a reminder of everything she denied herself for too long. 2 years since her last relationship. 2 years since she had felt a man's touch. Since she had been kissed like a woman, not just politely greeted like a colleague. Her eyes lingered too long on the flex of a dancer's chest, the smirk of another as he caught her gaze. She quickly looked away, sipping faster at her cocktail, telling herself not to lose control. By the time she finished her 3rd drink, the world felt lighter, looser. She stood, smoothing her dress, and began the slow walk back toward her room. The night was humid, filled with the scent of jasmine. That's when she heard a voice behind her. Chapter 2. John. "Hey, beauty," the voice said, casual but charged with intent. She turned, half annoyed, half curious. A man stood there, tall, dark blonde hair slightly ruffled, shirt open at the collar. He wasn't one of the performers. His presence was different. More grounded, more thoughtful, yet with a spark in his eyes. "Are you having vacation here? Or, seems we're both on business here," he continued, stepping closer. "My name is John. I couldn't simply pass by those curves. And those curls. Forgive me for being so direct, but I needed to know you. Badly." The alcohol softened her guard. She smiled, shaking her head, amused at his honesty. Direct indeed, but maybe honesty is refreshing. Something in his gaze wasn't predatory. It was hungry, yes, but also deeply alive, curious, almost boyish. They ended up in the hotel's lobby lounge, both carrying fresh glasses of wine. 4 hours vanished as they spoke. To her shock, John wasn't the typical smooth-talking tourist. He was a designer in the construction industry, here for an exhibition. But beyond that, he was a dreamer, someone who sketched not only buildings, but poems in margins of his notebooks. And she, an events organizer who lived by schedules and precision, was, beneath it all, a secret romantic. They found themselves reciting old verses, laughing about metaphors, confessing the way words had once saved them. It was as if 2 souls, parched from silence, had suddenly found each other's rivers. When the clock struck 2 in the morning, silence hung between them, heavier than words. He leaned forward, brushed a lock of her hair behind her ear, and whispered, "Let me see you as the poem you are." Chapter 3. The Almost. Her hotel room smelled faintly of lavender when they stumbled in. Lips locked, hands restless. John kissed her with the hunger of a man who had waited lifetimes. His fingers traced the neckline of her dress, sliding it down, his mouth trailing heat along her collarbone. She gasped, arching into him, her body answering in waves she hadn't felt in years. The bed received them as if it had been waiting. His touch was fire and tenderness, exploring her, worshipping her curves, until she trembled and cried out, shattering into the long-denied orgasm that left her breathless. But just as her heart opened to let him all the way in, he froze, his breath ragged, his forehead pressed to hers. "I can't," he whispered, voice breaking. She searched his eyes, confused. "I'm sorry," he said, standing abruptly, buttoning his shirt with trembling hands. "I can't finish this. Forgive me." Before she could answer, he was gone. The door shut. Silence swallowed the room. At dawn, his flight took him away. Chapter 4. The letter. Back home, days blurred into emails, deadlines, presentations. She buried the memory under layers of work, until one morning a new email subject caught her breath. Love letter from John. Hands trembling, she opened it. It wasn't just a letter. It was a 3-page poem. Verses about her hair like twilight rivers, her laughter like shattered glass becoming diamonds. Lines about the way her body had sung beneath his hands, about how he had been both terrified and intoxicated by her. But the ending twisted her heart. He confessed what he hadn't told her, that he was married with a small baby, that he had been a coward, unable to admit it face to face, that he had run because if he stayed, he would have betrayed not just his vows but himself. He wrote, "You are my white deer, rare, untouchable, forever remembered. Forgive me for loving you only halfway." She closed the laptop with tears streaming. For days she couldn't eat. But life moved on, and so did she. Chapter 5. 8 years later, time is cruel and kind in equal measure. 8 years later, at 43, Aylin was alone again. She had married in her late 30s, but the union crumbled under the weight of unmet dreams. Divorce left her bruised but also free. One quiet Sunday, as she cleaned her email folders, she stumbled upon the old message. Love letter from John. Her heart clenched, but instead of pain, she felt tenderness, a softness for her younger self, for the man who had once trembled in her arms. On impulse, she hit reply. Her message was short. Dear John, 8 years have passed, but I still remember that night in Turkey. I am divorced now, single again. If you ever wish to talk, here is my number. Your white deer. She clicked send, thinking it would vanish into the void. 20 minutes later, her phone rang. Chapter 6. The call. Hi, white deer, the voice said, deep, trembling slightly. It's John. Her knees nearly buckled. John. I can't believe it's you. I read your message 3 times before daring to call. I'm divorced too. Been divorced for 3 years. Silence filled the line, charged with 1,000 unsaid things. Then he chuckled softly. 8 years, and yet, I feel as if we're still sitting in that lobby, with wine in our hands. She laughed, tears brimming. Do you still write poems? For you, I never stopped. Chapter 7. Reunion. They met a week later in Paris, halfway between their lives. When she saw him at the train station, her breath caught. Older, yes, streaks of silver in his hair. Lines etched deeper around his eyes. But still the man who once wrote her into poetry. He carried a single white rose. She walked to him, and in that moment, the years collapsed. White dear, he whispered, pulling her into his arms. This time, nothing stopped them.